What's up to all the sidekicks and henchmen out there in the Geek Nation? My name is Noel, and this morning we're going to do some Thunder Rounds. What's a Thunder Round? A Thunder Round is a 60-second review of a single issue of a comic book, and today's the day to do it because it is New Comic Book Day. New Comic Book Day, again, I have to say, I feel like I have to say this every time, is 2 days now. It's Tuesdays and Wednesdays, DC and everybody else. But Wednesday still feels like New Comic Book Day because it's all the new comic books. It's like Tuesday you get a splattering depending on what your pull list is like, but then Wednesday the rest come out. So Wednesday still feels like New Comic Book Day. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to do 2 Thunder Rounds today because there were 2 books in my stack that I read this morning that were very fascinating, interesting, worth talking about. I'm just going to do 1 minute of them here, probably a little bit more because I'm terrible at keeping time. And maybe this weekend the guys will want to talk about these issues in depth because they, like I said, they were pretty interesting. This weekend, I'm obviously referring to every Sunday morning at 10:30. We live stream our podcast here on the channel, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes it's 10:36, sometimes it's 10:38. Doesn't matter. Be there at 10:30. And join the conversation. We will talk about the week's comics, longer reviews. Sometimes we do a book review. We talk about what we had for breakfast. We talk about pop culture news. We talk about friendship, kindness, good stuff. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about 2 comics, like I said. The first one being Lonely Receiver, written by Zach Thompson with art by Jen Hickman. And the second one is We Only Find Them When They're Dead, which makes sense when you read the story. The title does at least. But either way, it's by Al Ewing and Simone DeMeo. Correct me. Yeah, so we'll talk about these. Before I do, though, be sure to like and subscribe if you like what we're doing on this channel. I'll leave all the links down below of where you can follow us on social media, or if you feel so inclined or gracious to support our Patreon, which keeps the, what do they say on other shows? It keeps the lights on. Essentially, it just helps with our equipment. But either way, all right, let's kick this off. I got my timer over here. I'm gonna push start, and then we'll do Lonely Receiver and go. All right, so I very much wanted to try out Aftershock Comics. I've read a couple of things in collection, but never really jumped on a series as it started, and this seemed like a very good opportunity. The cover is incredibly gnarly, and it does give you an idea in the near future, having your smartphone, your smart device, the extension of it being a sentient mate for life, right? So we've got this woman who creates a girlfriend, and for 10 years she is her life mate, and there's a little bit of body horror with it where it kind of becomes a person, but really, other than that, this is definitely a very challenging story about ownership, about relationships, about difficult conversations, and allowing each other space. But it's done through the prism of a technological body horror. So it's unsettling, but it's also very well done. The art is wonderful. The coloring is wonderful. But there are a couple parts especially the transition from the prologue into the meat of the story. It goes back and forth in time a couple of times, and some of the characters have different hairstyles, and I'm not used to it yet, or it's not distinct enough yet to immediately follow along visually. So I had a little bit of a rough time at the start. However, there's some really fascinating stuff in here. Some very interesting and uncomfortable stuff in here. It's sci-fi, but it's also a little horror, but it's also very much a relationship book. It's cool. I would if any of that at all sounded interesting, I would definitely give Lonely Receiver a shot by Aftershock Comics, written by Zach Thompson, art by Jen Hickman. Yeah, I didn't expect it either. But anyway, let's talk about Al Ewing's new John. Al Ewing of mainly Marvel fame right now. He's doing the Immortal Hulk. Just today, Empire ended, the Marvel event Empire, which he handled main scripting duties, I believe. I think all the credits say him and Dan Slott plotted it and story, but almost every single issue has had Al Ewing scripting. So, but anyway, let's talk about this. And go. We only find them when they're dead. This is all I knew about this book was the incredibly badass cover treatment and the creative team. I did not look up anything else about it. Would I suggest you do that? You don't have to. But this is a fascinating book, and it follows a crew of autopsy scavengers. So essentially, when a space god dies, think about Celestials. There are these scavenger ships, autopsy scavenging ships that go and harvest their bodies, and it's like an old west kind of run to the finish line of who gets to the first piece of the body to claim and harvest it. And like those that get the heart, the corporate guys that get the heart or get the most money, and we're following a little ragtag group that I'm not efficient at this at all. We follow this ragtag group of 4 characters with their ship that they'll settle for a piece of the cheek to just harvest the protein, as opposed to go for the big bucks like the eyeballs or the heart. So it's a really interesting premise, like the idea of you've got these scrappy space people, astronauts who are just trying to make a living, and then it kind of ends in a very interesting stakes raised kind of way. They introduce so many big ideas, but then also juxtapose them with these very small pedestrian kind of these like small relatable bureaucratic things. So like even though we're talking about people harvesting organs from a celestial god in space, they also have to deal with other scavengers, corporate scavengers, the rules and regulations when harvesting, and this book touches on all of them, and it turns into almost I don't want to spoil it at the end. The end this whole issue really is just groundwork to kind of lay out the ordinary world, and it ends on that one beat of what our characters are going to do now to circumvent the rules of the ordinary world, it's pretty exciting. It's actually a really fun read. I would suggest this, and honestly too, yeah, the cover treatment is great. The art's fantastic. Simone DeMeo, I am familiar with them because I'm pointing up because above me on the shelf is Power Rangers. They're one of the Power Rangers artists. These Boom Studios artists their stable of artists are phenomenal. You've got Dan Mora, Simone DeMeo, a bunch of others that kind of move from book to book in Boom, and they just kind of take care of them, which is really cool. But yeah, those are my 2 Thunder Rounds today. I read a couple of other things this morning that were really good. Empire ended incredibly well from as far as I'm concerned. It was really, really entertaining, especially for an event that I had no interest in it from jump. But it was really solid. A couple of other things I read this week. I can't wait to read Hellblazer, which by Tom Taylor, which I believe JD already did and did a video on the channel, which I skipped because I wanted to read it before I saw his opinion. I know that's terrible, but I will go back and watch it as soon as I read it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, be sure to join us on Sunday morning, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, to jump in on the conversation in the comments and holla or email us or all that jazz. Leave the links down below. Let's talk about comics. It'll be fun. But in the meantime, thank you for joining me for the last 8 or 9 minutes. I appreciate you. Be sure to read your comics. Enjoy them. Have a great week. I'll talk to you later.